Shell Championship season could not have started on a brighter note for Tasmanian John Bowe. Runner-up to Larry Perkins in the wet at Sandown, then successive round victories at Symonds Plains, Tasmania, and Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Peter Brock did the early chasing, as it took until round 4 at Phillip Island for Glen Seton to hit his straps. Back-to-back wins there and at Lakeside produced some joy at last for the Peter Jackson team. Bowe came back to score top points at Winton, while Mark Scaife took honours at Eastern Creek. The baby-faced assassin gave them all a hiding at Malala with an unblemished 3 from 3 as Brocky came from last to second. Bowe needed something special in the West to put the title beyond reach. But this crash in the dash was not what the team had in mind. Nor was this wham slam from the Castrol man in Heat 2, as Seton picked up another double and Brocky was the Butte bridesmaid. Today, the Tiga troops have assembled at scenic Oran Park. Bowe is 14 points ahead of Brock and 4 back to Seton. A classic confrontation looms as the Seven Network welcomes you to the grand final of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championships. Proudly brought to you by Shell, Tui's, and Mitre 10. Grand final day at Oran Park. There's nothing like it. And Allan Moffat, I'm sure you'll agree, we've never seen a crowd like this at Oran Park.
Well, not for about 20 years anyway, that's for sure. But after 9 exciting rounds, Mike, the Sydney people have been dying to see this final.
They sure have been. In qualifying yesterday, no doubt about the fast man, it was John Bowe with a 108.25, the series leader. Peter Brock, can he spring something today? A 108.54. And as the script demands, Glen Seton third fastest, just clear of Dick Johnson. So the draw for the Peter Jackson Dash this morning meant everything, and would you believe it? John Bowe pulled number 1. That's all he needed. Day couldn't have started better for Johnny Bowe. Pole position for the Peter Jackson Dash, and starting on the outside of the front row, Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore. Row number 2 now, Glen Seton in the Peter Jackson Falcon and Stephen Johnson in the Digital Falcon. Row number 3 is the young privateer from Queensland, Paul Romano, and alongside him, 015 Thomas Mazera. Row number 4 is Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Falcon and the veteran Dick Johnson in the Shell FAI Falcon. That leaves the back row for Larry Perkins and the man, after a lot of passing points, Peter Perfect. The front row for the Peter Jackson Dash, series leader John Bowe in the Shell FAI Falcon, and Mark Scaife, the 1994 national champion who bows out today. It'll be Scaife, it'll be Brock, or it'll be Seton. Points at risk here in the PJ Dash this morning. 4 laps the distance, a capacity crowd set to go, and in fact, out of the line quickly was Mark Scaife. Car number 1 got away smartly, and Junior Johnson tries to go down the outside, and Brock is absolutely committed to passing as many cars, and here he comes down the outside.
Fabulous pickup there from Mark Scaife. A great start. First time he's been on the front row for a long, long time. Johnny Bowe bogged down a little off that start, but nevertheless still sitting there in second spot.
Great start from Peter Brock, leaping off 10th position on the grid. I think he's up to 7th, but he's got Dickie Johnson in front of him, and boy, there's going to be some tactics happening here in this heat. Absolutely critical, these 4 laps for passing points. Oh, look at Brock and Johnson getting very physical there. Perkins tries to squeeze up the inside. Brock shuffled back, so he's going to have a lot of trouble on his hands getting past Johnson, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's great by the wall there with Paul Romano. He was very, very close to the wall coming up onto the bridge there. But here's Scaife leading down through the old dip into speed line corner.
Don't forget, today could go right down to the wire. There could be 1 point in this, and the winner of the 95 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, John Bowe, will know that, and a win here will be critical to his success.
Well, you thought Wanneroo was tight. I think this will be even tighter today to make the exit out of the cutting, and now they work the front straight here at Oran Park Raceway. Look at this great shot as Mark Scaife has John Bowe behind him, and Seton sits 1 back. Johnson, followed by Junior Johnson. They're the next, and the brakes come on a little early. Is Mark Scaife taking care of his buddy Glen Seton, I ask?
How close can you get? John Bowe really leans on the Winfield Commodore under brakes there for Coca-Cola corner. He's on the inside. Seton, the watching brief here. He's not going to get left behind. Gets very close to the Shell Falcon. These boys are really mixing it here. They know how critical these points are.
Which-A Dunlop race cam rides on top of Dick Johnson's car. There's Junior, the son, just in front. Dick's really just taking care of business, dives underneath him, but Brock is sitting right behind him and looking at passing some more cars.
Stephen wasn't quite as happy with the car as he'd like to be yesterday, but still did a fine qualifying job in the top 10, but just let Ned through there on the inside.
Now, Brock will be putting plenty of pressure on young Junior Johnson, and Stephen won't want to blot his copybook. In the meantime, I think Bowers understands it would be easier for him in points if Mark Skaife was to win this, because if he makes a move and fluffs it.
Yes, and don't forget he's a little gun shy from the dash in Perth where he got annihilated. John wants to make sure that this car starts intact. He's got a lot of miles in front of him here later in the day, protecting the corner there on the inside, making it hard for Seton.
Well, I'll come round and take the signal. The last lap board is out. The Jackson Dash this morning at Oran Park. We track the cars down the front straight.
We're going to see some desperate stuff here down through the sweeper. Look at Bowe. He sized Skaife up the last time around. Skaife takes a conservative line, covered his ground very neatly. Seton goes wide. Sees if he can see there's any real estate on the inside or the outside where he can take advantage. But Bowe, very strong under pressure here. Lights ablaze, filling up the mirrors of the Winfield Commodore the final time around. He wants that win.
Here they come downhill. Bowe thought about the inside, but he knows he's got Seton right behind him. They make the exit out of that turn. The checkered flag is at the ready, and it'll be Mark Skaife across the line. He takes the checkered flag, second to Bowe, and right down the inside of him came Glen Seton. What a fabulous finish to the dash this morning at Oran Park Raceway. 3 magnificent auto action trophies there on the line as the privateers begin their lineup now for their 4-lap dash this morning. Just in the last corner of the Peter Jackson dash are coming together. Let's show that for you on our Tui's replay. This is Larry Perkins, and bang, straight in Tony Longhurst on the inside of him. The two of them have collided. They're staring and glaring at each other. Here's the lineup now for the Privateers Cup. Tony Scott has pole position in the Pinnacle Commodore VR with Scotty Taylor in the Xerox Shop Commodore alongside. Gary Wilmington in the Falcon starts out of position number 3, and David Attard, the series leader, out of position 4. Steve Reed in the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore from inside of row 3, and Paul Romano, the Privateer, 2 dashes for him today. Terry Finnegan, the Sony Autosound Commodore, out of position number 4 on the inside, or row 4. Wayne Russell in the Roadkill Union Steel Commodore is alongside him. Row number 5 is Kevin Heffernan in the Price Attack Commodore. Bob Pearson in the Product Commodore alongside. Row number 6 is Kevin Waldock in the Komatsu Falcon. David Parsons in the Parsons Transport Commodore. About 5 seconds to go. David Attard in the Alcare Air Conditioning number 49 Commodore has led the Auto Action Privateers Cup almost since day one, but he's got a bit of work to do here. Actually jumps the start just marginally down the outside. They might ping him for that. Wilmington gets away in the Green Falcon. Going the other side of him was Paul Romano. As they head down to the left-hander, a very fast opening corner. 12 Privateers, and George Oyub also making the field yesterday.
Poor old Scotty Taylor there. He was on the front row. He got held up. He's gone right to the back of the field. He may have had a mechanical failure, but he's managed to stay out of trouble as they head under Dunlop Bridge for the first time. So it's Attard in command from the Pinnacle Commodore, Tony Scott. And I think it's Romano who's pushed his way up to 3rd position.
Yeah, very nice start from Attard, but believe me, Mike was right. He did jump it, and Tim Schenken might be waiting for him with a black flag on the first lap. We'll see what happens.
There's Bobby Pearson in the Product Commodore going through. Always a beautifully turned out car, the Pearson machine. Tony Scott was leading it just for a few seconds, but this man has burst through to take over the lead. David Attard in the Alcare Air Conditioning Commodore. Romano coming up behind the tail of Scott. Bit of a Steve Reed up here on the inside of Finnegan in the Sony Autosound Commodore.
Kevin Heffernan there in the Price Attack Commodore. Beautifully turned out car as well. Gets a little bit sideways as they head down toward Recaro corner for the first time. Attard in command. Tony Scott in 2nd position. And there's young Paul Romano running Bridgestone tyres for the first time. Gets a little bit sideways as he comes up the straight, being shown a clean pair of heels in a straight line.
Well, here's an example of a fellow who's come into the championship for the first time this year, participated in all the shell rounds all around the country, and he's just performed leaps and bounds on himself.
Here he comes. There's not much room there, but
there's been a touch.
Well, a little touch. Oh, a little bang, and one of the pads that used here for the motorcycle racing has just fell over. There's Kevin Heffernan going through.
Yellow flags waving.
Well, that won't gain him any popularity points. That's not really the way to get the respect of your peers. A nice move by Romano, but a little bit on the rough side there. There wasn't enough room.
Oof. There wasn't there, was there?
There wasn't enough room, and he would have seen that very clearly as he went in.
Oof.
That corner tightens up considerably.
Well, I will say this, both young Attard and Romano may well pay the price for this with a guard that's rubbing against a tyre. But, well, they're on their last lap now, and there's David Attard going away with it. And I must point out just what the Dash has done for the privateers. It's brought them up with their own event on the program. It's been very, very strongly supported by Auto Action, Australia's weekly newspaper, racing paper. To them we say thank you, because they got behind it and volunteered. They didn't have to be approached, they volunteered. The drivers have all appreciated it, and we'd like to see it happen again next year. Another Privateers Dash to give these guys who maybe fill the back half of the field an opportunity to get up front on television.
Some of these fellas are not exactly filling the field anymore, right? With Paul Romano in the top 10. David here has done a great job all year long. And nice to see El Pair coming through here in their Sydney market. Fabulous for them. They've supported this car all year.
Well, the last, Scotty Taylor goes off. The last corner comes up. Checkered flag is about to be unfurled as David Attard comes across the strike. He'll go on and win it. Second spot will go to Romano, and third to Steve Reed over Finnegan, Pearson, Russell, Parsons, Wilmington, Taylor and Ayu. A beautiful day at Sydney's Oran Park Raceway. The pit lane. Behind that pit lane, it is just wall-to-wall people. We'll have an official crowd for you shortly, but we believe it's the biggest crowd since the opening of Oran Park. And they've all come, or a lot of them have come today to see whether or not John Bowe can win his first championship, or whether an old stager by the name of Peter Brock can do it. Let's go down to Andy Raymond.
Thanks, Mike. A beautiful day, certainly, at Oran Park. A huge westerly blowing in. That'll be a nice, handy tailwind going down the main straightaway. He hasn't won a round all year so far, Peter Brock. Have you been saving it up for Oran Park?
Who knows? This could be the day. It's a very unpredictable sport, this motor racing. I think you just got to take it as it comes.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Peter Brock there with Andy Raymond. He's set to go. He's got a lot of work to do. He's pulled 1 point back on John Bowe. Here's the lineup for race number 1 of the grand final. John Bowe in the Shell FAI Falcon on pole with a 108.25. Peter Brock in the Mobile Commodore shares the front row with a 108.54. Row number 2, Glen Seton, the Peter Jackson Falcon, a 108.64. And Dickie Johnson, the Shell FAI Ford, with a 109.16.
Row 3's Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Falcon EF with Paul Romano, the first time on Bridgestone tyres for the Queensland Privateer. Row 4, Stephen Johnson right behind him, coming back to touring cars for the first time in 12 months. Thomas Mazzera, the second of the HRT cars.
Row number 5 sees Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore, sharing that row with Mark Scape, the defending champion, in the Winfield Commodore. And row number 6, Neil Crompton, the Coke Machine, and sharing with Jimmy Richards in the second of the Winfield VRs.
Row number 7, Allan Jones in the second Peter Jackson Ford. David Attard alongside him, one of the top privateers. Row 8, Wayne Gardner, all sorts of trouble in the Coca-Cola Commodore, and Tony Scott in the Pinnacle VR.
Row number 9 sees Alan Grice in the third of the Peter Jackson Falcons, and alongside Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 Falcon. Row number 10 is David Parsons in the Parsons Transport Commodore, and Steve Reed in number 3, the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore.
No shortage of V8s here. Row 11, 33, Bob Pearson, the Pro Duck Commodore from Kevin Waldock in the Team Komatsu Falcon EB. Row 12 is Terry Finnegan, the local privateer, in the Sony Auto Sound Holden, and Kevin Heffernan alongside him in the Price Attack car.
Row number 13, Wayne Russell in the Roadshill Union Steel Commodore. Gary Wilmerton is next in the Ford Falcon. And row number 14, Scotty Taylor in the Xerox Shop Commodore, and George Ayoub in car number 40. About 5 seconds away from the start, race 1 of the grand final at Sydney's Oran Park Raceway. Bowe versus Brock, and Seton right behind them. They're off. Brock loses the start. Seton picks up a gear, goes down the inside of him. Then on the inside comes Tony Longhurst as they make the run down to the left-hander. The long straight at Oran Park. There's a left-hand kick and they're down to a sharp left-hander. Brock tries to square it off with Seton. Bowe's in front. Seton will get second into that turn. Brock is third, and they were then followed by Dickie Johnson.
Paul Romano all out of shape in the middle of the pack there. They're all darting left, right, trying to get around him. The pack gets through cleanly. That's a miracle.
Well, a boo-boo there for the privateer, the young boy, but he'll be able to get out of there with some assistance as the rest of the cars go through.
Here's John Bowe. He's taking it away from Seton. Brock, he definitely didn't get a good start. It's cost him dearly, but he's come back in the past. I don't think today will be any exception, but back there in fourth spot, from the front row is not good.
Here's Mark Scaife making a big run up on the inside of Thomas Mazera. The Coca-Cola cars are there as well. Allan Jones. I'll break lock up a mile one there for car number 30, Glen Seton, as they make the run up to the flip-flop and the drop down into the left-hander. Johnson covering the bets while Every keeps Brock behind him. That's good news for John Bowe.
Well, Johnny Bowe's not a guy who plays the numbers game. He races to win, and he's been committed to winning this race from day one. Dick Johnson, Dunlop Tyres race cam, takes you aboard this thrilling scrap. First, second, third and fourth. Gets up behind the wing of the Peter Jackson Ford. He's alongside on the outside of Seton at 240 kilometres an hour. Gets out on the side. Seton beats him into the switchback.
Now, we have an interesting situation. Bowe's gone, and here's Dick Johnson playing havoc with both Glen Seton and Peter Brock.
Well, why is it taking a lap to get that car off the middle of the track?
Oh, damage here too. Sorry, Allan, for Tony Longhurst. We saw him in the wars in the dash. Plenty of damage here on the first lap. Tony will be furious.
Yeah, you can't fight that. It's one of those things. If somebody loses in front of you, you T-bone them. I think Tony did his best to avoid Romano, but that was a tough break.
Here we go. John Bowe, car number 18, leads from Glen Seton. Then it's Dick Johnson. Next is Peter Brock, who would well know the wishes of Dick today and trying to keep him behind. Mark Scaife is there. He could be the race breaker in car number 1. But expect Brock's quickest lap still to come.
Yes, we've seen him unwind himself.
Oh, Johnson up on 2 wheels, was wheel hiking through there. The old man's having a great day here.
Hitting the curbs, you can't do that too often. His drivers have been warned about cutting the corners. Any unsportsmanlike driving is going to be severely dealt with.
Well, I think Dick's going to take it up to them. The brake lock up from Glen Seton. There's half a Bridgestone left on the front straight there as we go down to Andy in the pits.
Yeah, thanks. One guy who hasn't had a great start to the day is Tony Longhurst. Just as you cross over, he goes down surveying the damage. The front spoiler's all damaged in the fracas with Paul Romano in the first corner. What's the problem, Tony?
We've damaged the radiator. Someone's given Paul a bit of a tap and he spun around, and I've gone for a gap. It's closed up. I got a little tap at the back, but that's racing. It doesn't seem to be our weekend this weekend. We qualified so well.
Not the ideal start.
No, it's not, but we'll repair the car and we'll line up at the back of the grid for the second race.
See you there.
Well, Dick Johnson's going to keep the pressure going on Glen Seton. Seton's not going to pick up enough points today, just with the second. It really needs Bowe not to win the races. He deserves to today. He's been the pace man, setting 8 poles during the course of the season.
Yes, that's a phenomenal record, 8 out of 10. Don't do that too many times.
Let's go down to Andy. There's a lot happening in the pits, young man.
There certainly is early on. Jim Richards has been in. He's already back out. He too was involved in that first corner melee. What happened to the Richards car was simply a bit of body damage that was rubbing on the tyre, a little bit of panel work from Team Winfield, and everything's okay.
Well, a bit busier than the Union, but as they head into the left-hander, there's Johnny Bowe, car number 18. Under the bridge, Seton might be just a car length closer to him than he was the last lap around. And none of them are going to get away from the pride of Queensland. And you'll see him just there, and Brock still sitting in behind Mark Scaife. So there's Mark Scaife coming through in the Winfield Commodore. Then you've got Peter Brock, followed then by Thomas Mazera. Then it's Stephen Johnson, followed then by the first of the Coke machines, and then Allan Grice.
Let's cross down to Andy.
Yeah, thanks very much. Another early casualty is Allan Jones. Allan, the clutch is slipping.
Yeah, it was going all right for about 2 or 3 laps, and then it just got progressively worse, and it was all I could do to get it back to the pits. It's just slipping really badly.
Certainly not the thing Team Peter Jackson wanted today.
No, you could say that, yeah.
See you back out there in Heat 2.
I hope so. Thanks, Andy.
Good, real champion, always smiling when things are bad.
Look at Seton. He's just trying to get every ounce out of this car. He's driving it right on the limit, matching Bowe right to the 100th of a second in lap times.
I think he's struggling a bit, Mark. We don't normally see him untidy, but I think he realizes that that shell car in front of him has got the potential to stay there.
And what would be encouraging for John Bowe is all through practice he's been monitoring the tyre temperatures very closely on these new tyres he's got. He's very confident that they're going to last the distance. Seton, meanwhile, has taken a bit of pump on a very soft compound Bridgestone. So maybe we'll see this tyre war even out toward the end of this race.
Well, the one thing about a soft compound, you have to be very, very tight on it. You have to drive with a great deal of finesse. You can't throw it around and make the tires work any more harder than you really need to. Well, and that might be all John Bowe needs.
John Bowe would certainly want to hang on to this position. If he finishes first, Seton is second and Brock is fifth in this first heat, which is the way they're sitting at the moment. Bowe would only need 1 point in the second heat to clinch the championship. So it should be fascinating to watch.
Well, there's no doubt about it that the Shell team know all these permutations, and Dick will be calculating.
Currently third position, Bowe, Seton up ahead of them. Not opening a gap, Scaife behind them. Brock sandwiched back in fifth with Mazira right up his tailpipe. Steve Johnson in seventh. Crompton has done a great job. He's moved up to eighth. Grice in ninth, and Gardner, the second of the Coke Commodores, in 10th. John Bowe still in control. He's just cut a 1 minute 9.8. Seton 3/10 faster that time around. These two very evenly locked in this battle. Dick Johnson watching brief in third, playing rear gunner for his teammate Bowe if he starts to come under fire from Scaife. But at the moment, the gap's out to 1.7 seconds.
Well, it might have been, but I have a feeling the gap's starting to come down again. Let's check them out on the Shell Racecourse. Johnny Bowe continues to lead. Getting closer is Glen Seton. Dick Johnson runs in third. Scaife is fourth. And all the fans saying, go, go, Peter Brock. He's fifth at the moment.
Man in fifth position. Now Brocky switched to a development tyre, and there was only 2 or 3 sets available. This new Bridgestone development tyre, which I believe will become their Bathurst tyre. And Brocky was hoping that would pull a few tricks out of the bag. For the moment, the lap times and his on-track performance would suggest otherwise. It looks like he's really struggling just to hang on to the back of Scaife.
He is struggling because Mazira is coming up right behind him at the moment. They make a run round the outside of Gary Wilmington as they approach the bridge. Brocky goes the outside, and also Mazira looking to pass him on the outside as well, which they do.
Each driver, of course, has the choice of their own compound, so it's not necessary to say that Peter and Thomas would be on the same compound.
Well, lap 12 of 29, so past the third distance in this critical opening heat. Thomas Mazira, teammate to Peter Brock. Fascinating scenario from the dash this morning. Thomas Mazira finished in front of Brock, which really surprised a lot of people. I think Peter also himself. There's Stephen Johnson. Yep.
The digital Falcon.
He's gone in near Recaro corner.
That's a shame. Was running in 7th position.
Looks like he stalled it. No, he's got it moving.
No, he did have it moving.
Something's happened.
He's trying to fire it again, and I guess it's a case of trying to judge the traffic. Get out as close as he can to the wall and light up the bags, which he does.
Bit of a flick tip.
Oh, off he goes.
That's an experienced way to get out of trouble.
The honourable member for Broadwater, Mr. Allan Grice, runs 7th, I believe, on the road.
Honourable, okay.
That's not too bad.
Is that an official title?
Well, he could have been the minister.
Uh-huh.
Yes, minister.
Yeah. Grice had all sorts of problems in practice. He split a power steering hose and dumped a lot of oil on the track earlier in the week. He said he's taken a while to get a feel for these Bridgestone tyres, which he's never driven on. So it's been a case of trying to play his hand in. Only qualified 17th, but certainly looking forward to his drive at Bathurst alongside Seton.
Mark Larkham has just gone off, caught the sand trap over there on the exit to that corner, the Mitre 10 Falcon. Still doing a lot of experimentation with the car, trying to get it right for Bathurst. It's been quite a learning curve for them, and they're not going to finish in this one, and judging by he's gone in there under a full cloud of power too, into the wall. Yes. There's Johnny Bowe, car number 18. He continues to lead. Glen Seton giving chase, but I think Bowe has the measure of Seton and Brock here today on grand final day, and you couldn't wish for a better day to have that falling into your lap.
He's got that nice controlled look about it. It just seems to be happening. It's obviously not happening on automatic pilot. John doing a superb job behind the wheel.
Here comes Larry. It's on bumper cam from the back of the Coca-Cola Commodore down the inside of Crompton. Very, very finely judged, but very smooth overtaking move from the Castrol Commodore. He moves up now to 8th position. Now, the fascinating thing about this situation, if Brock remains in 5th position, he cannot win the championship. So he will be driving as hard as he possibly can to get up another position.
Sure is. Well, Brocky's doing it tough, with a little more on that. Let's go down to Andy again in the pits.
Mike, he certainly is doing it tough. The HRT crew are ready at any given moment for Brock to come in. He was involved in a shunt with Dick Johnson this morning. Consequently, the diff housing has been bent, and it was a very, very quick repair in the pit earlier. He's having an oversteer problem, and they're very concerned with the left rear tyre. It's going off pretty badly at the moment.
Oh, well, that explains the performance. Yep. You can't have these cars in any shape other than perfect. And
he's been
perfect as you've designed them. And with that kind of a bingle at in the dash, if it's hurt his rear end geometry, and he's struggling here.
And he's really been frying up that outside tyre, and that really costs you dearly when you've got other guys around you like Bowe, with the car working perfectly at this stage. Brock really struggling here. As we said, if he stays in 5th, his championship hopes are gone. there's Dick Johnson in third position. If Bowe wins this heat, he wins the Touring Car Championship.
Scaife is getting a little closer in the meantime here to one Richard Johnson, as Bobby Pearson and the Pro Duck Commodore hangs to the outside. They head over the bridge and into the right-hander. I think yesterday, Mark, when John Bowe sat on pole and Paul won for the dash this morning, everyone realised the bloke with the fastest car all year was going to win it.
And when you think, though, for the frustrations they had in Perth, Mike, they've come back and fought on. And what I admire about the Shell operation is the way they fight through when things are tough. And really, John Bowe took a hell of a punt in the dash in Perth. They worked like demons to get his car into the race. Didn't have a very fruitful race. He's come back here a few weeks later, put it on pole, won the dash, and holding the rest of the field at bay here now.
4 laps to go. As David Parsons, young privateer, having his first season in touring car racing. He'll hang off to the right, just allow Dick Johnson to pass him. He's looked pretty good so far. There's Mark Scaife, can't do much about it, still with about 4 laps remaining. Looking down through the field, the 2 Coca-Cola cars driven by Wayne Gardner and Neil Crompton, certainly in the top 10, 9th and 10th. As Dick Johnson soldiers on, still running in third.
He's looking good here.
Well, Seton's just holding that gap, 1.05 seconds that time around, but he can't make any pressure on Bowe in first. Johnson 5 seconds behind Bowe. 3 laps to go.
The Coca-Cola Commodore of Neil Crompton, and looking pretty good. He's still there and running 9th and well within the top 10. How goes it, young Neil?
Not too bad except for that bloke, but yeah, okay, Mike. Made a bit of a mistake before and let Larry go by. We're in a bit of a battle here at the moment, so we're having a bit of fun.
You got the boss breathing down your neck.
Have I? Don't tell me that. I'm worried enough with this bloke in front. Where's the boss? I can't even see him.
He's coming.
Okay, like Christmas. How's things in there for you guys? Is it a good race?
A bit quiet, actually.
Oh, okay. You want me to sing a song for you?
If you wouldn't mind. But don't tap dance.
Okay.
All right, well, at least that's something good. You've got the 2 cars still running in this heat, 9th and 10th.
I think you're going quite well, Mike, and it's a shame about the qualifying performance because that sort of put us off our game a bit, but Larry's a very good driver, a very good engineer, and there's not a lot of yards between us, is there?
Not really.
Whoop.
Whoop.
Steady.
Yes.
I might just go back to it, I think.
If you wouldn't mind. Bye.
See ya.
Well, there's a man that knows that he just, that moment that he talked to us, took his mind off the job. A little bit of an oops there. He recovered quickly and realized he better get back onto it. These cars are not driven without the zeal of the drivers. They have really got to put their whole heart and soul into making them go around, which appears effortlessly to us watching on screen.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? That's the unfortunate part about it. You go to sometimes to your race cams, which slow the happenings up inside the cockpit. But as soon as you get outside, or the bumper, or on the roof, it shows you just how quick these cars are.
2 laps to go for John Bowe. In fact, 1.5 laps. Lights ablaze as he picks his way through the tail enders. He's cleaned up Glen Seton. Glen Seton has no answer to this. 2.2 seconds the last time across the start-finish line, so he's broken the back of the Seton challenge.
Some of the happiest laps of the year to date for John Bowe. He will have been very aware of the energy that he would have been chewing up all week. He thinks morning, noon, and night about what he's going to do with his car. He's got a great team headed with Ross Stone, who provide him a car that is down to just everything he needs and wants. Talk about tailor-made suits. This fellow has got a tailor-made car, and he drives it just the way he wants to.
He really is Mr. Smooth, isn't he, Alan? 8 out of 10 pole positions. I've watched most of them, and boy, hasn't he been tidy.
You just
driving
can't
the
say
car
that's
to
luck.
absolute limit.
You just can't say that's luck, mate. He's done extremely well all year. And to come out of the bag after a bad run in Perth, as I've been mentioning, and recover the strain of worrying about how this weekend would unfold, I think he's done a superb job.
Well, they come beneath the bridge for the final time, down to the right-hander. They're on the last lap now. Car number 18, John Bowe, the Shell FAI Falcon. This all but locks up the championship for him, gives him a moral boost. The second heat today will be purely for him to rub it in. Second spot held by Seton, so forwards 1-2. Dick Johnson is back in third, so forwards 1-2-3. Then it's Mark Scaife and Peter Brock.
when you're a champion, you don't have to rub it in. Like, I think he'll probably relish the next heat more than worrying about who he's rubbing.
Just rub their nose in. You never wanted to do that?
No, not really.
You're a gentleman. Last corner's coming up now as they run downhill.
I had too many noses up alongside my door and don't worry about rubbing.
Last corner comes up now for John Bowe, car number 18. Race number 1 of the grand final day, and Bowe and the Falcon for Shell comes across the line. He'll take it. Second place will go to Glen Seton in the Peter Jackson Ford. Third to Dick Johnson. Fourth to Mark Scafen. Fifth to Peter Brock. Let's check out the top 10 for you on our Shell race score. JB, the winner of heat number 1. Second spot going to Glen Seton. Third to Dick Johnson. Fourth to Mark Scafen. Fifth to Peter Brock. In 6th spot, it was Thomas Mazera. 7th, Allan Grice, a fine drive that. 8th, Larry Perkins. 9th and 10th, the Coca-Cola twins, Neil Crompton and Wayne Gardner. Don't go away. We'll be back at the park just a tick. A magnificent afternoon at Sydney's Oran Park Raceway, the final heat of the 1995 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, coming to you across the 7 network. The man on pole is the man who has already won the championship, John Bowe, and with him, it's Andy Raymond.
Thanks, Mike. It has been the perfect week for Team Shell, John Bowe in particular. He qualified 1, you drew position 1 in the dash, you finished position 1, you won heat 1. How confident are you of completing the perfect day?
Well, I don't know, mate. It just depends how the cards fall, but I'm certainly very happy to win the championship. Everybody in the Shell FAI team has just done such a superb job all year, and if there's any justice in the sport, well, I guess we've had the justice.
John, the pressure really has been on all week. How's it affected you?
Oh, not too much, because I just know I've got such a good group of people behind me, and the job Dunlop did with these tyres from the UK, they're superb, and I was so wrapped in their performance in the first race, I'd like to win the second one for them.
John, we wish you all the best and hope your day ends well.
Okay, thanks, mate.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you to John Bowe. Bowe is on pole for heat number 2 this afternoon, but the man who starts alongside Glen Seton is dead even with Peter Brock for second in the championship. Dick Johnson and Mark Scafe share row 2.
Row 3 is 05. Peter Brock hanging on there, 0-1-5. His teammate Thomas Mazera alongside him. Row 4 is Allan Grice in the third Peter Jackson Falcon EF, and Larry Perkins in car 11.
Row number 5, Neil Crompton and Wayne Gardner. There's a Coca-Cola double for you. And row number 6 is David Attard in the Alcare Air Conditioning Commodore, and Steve Reed in the Lansvale Commodore.
Row 7, car 21, Tony Scott in the Pinnacle Commodore VR with Bobby Pearce in the Sydney Privateer alongside him. Row 8, 27, Terry Finnegan in the Sony Auto Sound car, and Jimmy Richards in the Winfield Commodore.
Row number 9, Kevin Heffernan in the Price Attack Commodore, and 62, Wayne Russell, a sprint car driver we hear. Row 2, Union Steel Commodore, and row number 10, David Parsons in the Parsons Transport Commodore, and Gary Wilmington in the Ford Falcon EB.
Row 11, look at all these V8s. 37, Scotty Taylor in the Xerox Shop Commodore VP. Paul Romano on the Holden Commodore alongside him. Row 12, Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 Falcon. I don't think he's starting, though, with that damage from the first heat. And Stephen Johnson in the Digital Falcon.
Row number 13, car number 40 is George Ayoub and Alan Jones. He hasn't been so far back in 2 decades. And row number 40, all by his lonesome, is Tony Longhurst in the Straighten Castrol Falcon. Plenty of Fords in the front half of the field. John Bowe on pole and alongside Glen Seton in car number 30. The start will be critical for Seton. He's off the line, and I think he was away quicker, or marginally quicker than Bowe. But look at Dickie Johnson come up to split them between, and Brock goes down the outside. It's going to be a tight first turn. Escape moves to the outside, and a couple make a move up on the inside. Into the first turn, the 2 Shell Falcons. Seton gets a bit of the rub there from Dick Johnson, who got off to a blinding start. One of the Shell cars has gone completely off the track as they head down to the next right-hander.
So that was Dickie Johnson. There was a big clash there between Seton and car 17. They both ended off in the scrub. Seton getting back onto the track quicker than Johnson. There's the other Shell Ford miles back. There's another one off in the road. I think that's David Attard. Boy, oh boy, they're leaning on each other every which way on this opening lap.
Yes.
Let's have a look at this on the replay, race cam. Up on the inside goes Johnson. There's a bang there by the look of it with Seton as they make the exit out of there. Car is sideways.
Dick heads right off into the scrub. Seton gets it back on the island. Dick back in the race, but a long way back.
I think Dick saw shades of blue coming up alongside him, and he lost his concentration there for a minute. He certainly shouldn't have landed up on the grass there with that kind of a move, but nevertheless it's left Peter Brock in a chance now to really put some heat on Seton. It's Brock or Seton for second place.
John Bowe may have won the championship in the first heat, but second place, and a very prestigious second place this year in the championship. Still open between Brock and Seton. They're locked on points, so whoever crosses the line first gets second position.
Well, this bloke running second, Brocky, you'd be just so thankful of Dick Johnson.
Yeah.
And everyone will accuse Johnson of deliberately taking out Seton. But it's certainly been a bonus for Peter Brock, because he's going to lock up second. Back behind him is Mark Scaife. But John Bowe gets away as Dick Johnson comes into the pits. He wouldn't be all that happy and probably would have a little bit of tyre damage as well. You might get a word with him down in the pits because the engine just is off.
Sounded quiet. Here we are with Peter Brock throwing it around, certainly in a happier position than he was in the first heat. He missed the start on the first heat off the front row. He should have had a better chance at it, but whatever selection tires he chose in the first heat didn't serve him well.
Notice the oil flags were out over the dog leg that time. Bit of oil down somewhere. Doesn't seem to be affecting them too badly. So Bowe now gets Brock in his rear view mirror. There's plenty of Holden fans and plenty of Brock fans here today, let me tell you. And they're going to be singing from the houses if he can pull this one off.
We'll look back through the field now as Bowe leads Brock. Mark Scaife is the next one. Then we have the first of the Coca-Cola cars going through. Larry Perkins. Then I think it is Seton that's wound his way back on track again. He's got a lot of passing to do. So, and Steve Reed also in there. Kevin Waldock has been able to start in the Komatsu Falcon. He goes through, missed the first heat.
Oh, look how hard Bowe's driving there. You can almost feel air getting out of the front of the car, really pounding on the suspension as he turns up toward the hill. He's driving very, very hard.
I think he's probably really enjoying this as the best heat of the whole year, doing a few things he probably wouldn't otherwise dare do.
Well, you can hear the crowd. They're already starting to warm up. Some cheers coming. They can see Brock's fast and competitive here. Second position. Ford versus Holden going right down to the wire in this final heat of the 95 championship.
John Bowe knows when he has Peter Brock at this distance so early in the race that consistency is one of the Brock trademarks, and he may just ever so slowly start creeping down on John's bumper bar. He won't want to throw his Dunlop car around too much.
Well, that alignment problem he had in the opening heat certainly doesn't seem to be affecting him now. Quick fix from the HRT boys. The car very quick. He's just fired off a 1.9 dead, which is a very, very fast time in race trim. So Bowe will really have the gun sights pointed at him right now.
Yes, I think Brock's closing on him perceptibly here every corner.
He drives this place well too, Brock. That was the bonus, picking up a couple of cars in the first corner.
Well, good start from Mark Scaife and an equally great start from Neil Crompton, up to fourth position. So finished ninth, pulls it back into the garage, some work going on there, and the car looking very quick in the opening laps of this second heat.
John Bowe for the Shell team continues to lead. One member of the Shell team is in the pits with AJ.
Thanks, Mike. A day of mixed fortunes, I guess, Dick. Number two's out there leading, championship winner this year, but your steering's gone and that's it.
Well, the job's done before the start of the race, and there's two of us just vying for the same piece of road, and the track just wasn't wide enough, and so we had it coming together, and it's just bent the steering on the car.
You should enjoy watching the rest of this race, though.
Yeah, I think I might, actually.
His job's done for the day.
Well, Dick Johnson puts plenty of energy into this team. We mustn't forget who's the owner and who does a lot of the majority of the decision making. Let's face it, these teams are not put together.
Very much a hands-on experience for Dickie Johnson. We take GIO race cam aboard Crompton's Coke's number 7, and he's under fire here. He's gone a little bit wide. Some of the cars sneaking up on the inside of him. And it was, indeed.
I'll tell you who it is. It's the baby-faced assassin. He's just split Crompton, and he's now up on the tail of Larry Perkins saying, let me through. I want a shot at the lead after being taken out in the first corner.
Yeah, Crompton one out, one back. Two of them pushing through, coming off the bridge that time, so he gets shuffled back 2 places. Larry Perkins, increase in speed here with Seton breathing right down his neck. Sticks a couple of wheels up on the rebel strips, gets some air under the car. And Glenn really has been quite untidy all day, huh?
Yes, it hasn't been a happy Falcon for him this weekend. He's fighting with it. It's a bit uncharacteristic, but Perhaps they've been trying something that they felt they needed for this weekend.
Really closes on Perkins there under brake. And
zigzagging there. He got out Fox Larry on that move and pulled in. There's Mazera's just spun off.
Thomas, he's been a bit on the quiet side today.
So Seton moves up to 4th position. Perkins in 5th, Crompton in 6th. Seton on a real charge here. He's got Brock a fair way ahead of him at the moment. 3 or 4 seconds up the road as Castrol Oil's race cam shows us how hard Seton is working. Look at the car twitching under power as he turns into that corner. Just a dab of the brakes, one of the last of the left foot breakers. Glenn, of course, a former go-kart racer, and he really does love this left foot braking style. Well, that 8.5 that Seton's just fired, that's a new lap record, in fact, for the V8 touring cars. So he's on a serious charge here. Scaife, meanwhile, doing a great job. Boy, they have had some trouble with consistency, but when they fire, they really fire. This car has been very quick all day.
Problems for Stephen Johnson, car number 19, had a huge launch, missed the flip-flop completely and straight down through the grass and out on the racetrack again. So it hasn't been the happiest of days for young Stephen. He's usually as safe as the Bank of England, but he's just had a couple of offs. And probably a big ask of him too, I will say that, to throw him in the car 1 or 2 starts out from Bathurst, just in the touring car final. Here comes the battle of Mark Scaife and Seton. And Seton is on an absolute roller. He's been that far back in the pack, but he's charging. And this is what I call racing, not just conserving and sitting there namby-pamby. This is racing. Look at this.
He's trying, not the place to try it there, Glenn.
Down the inside, son.
Here we go.
Scaife knows he's there. Scaife will give way. Wasn't too far wrong with that one, was it?
That was a fair enough dart. That was a bit nervy there over the dog leg, but he's obviously got the dandruff up, and he wants to get onto Brocky's tail.
Seton's 3rd, yep.
Mark doing some slipstreaming, taking advantage of that tailwind he's getting.
He's just under 2 seconds now behind Brock. You just saw Brock duck out of shot at the bottom of the screen there. He's got him in his sights. This is a very spirited, very competitive drive from Seton.
And I posed the question, if he's come from so far back and he can pass Brock, can he pass Bowe? There's one of the Coca-Cola. That's Wayne Gardner facing the wrong direction, sitting on the grass in the Coke Commodore.
Got some damage on the front of the car there too. It looks a bit of a tap.
Yeah. He wouldn't be the first today or the last.
He's got that front bonnet crumpled up. Might be wise to take that careful. 10 laps into 29. I think we're going to see an exciting finish here.
Well, this man well in command. Just over 1 second now. He's holding Brock, but just over 2 seconds, just under 2 seconds, I should say, the gap between Brock and Seton last time around. We'll check it as they come across the start-finish line this time. But boy, oh boy, we got a battle on for second here.
John Bowe still powering it into a recover corner. He's coming up onto the straight, nice and tidy.
Seton's running a softer tyre compound than Brock, probably giving him some speed, but I think we saw him just fade a little bit in that first heat when he was trying to hunt down Bowe. Wonder if he's got enough in reserve if he manages to get in front of Brock. This is going to get tight.
1,300 kilos, these cars, and when the tires start to go soggy on them, it's a big job to try and judge. It's hard enough to judge it when everything's perfect, but when the tires turn to marshmallows.
It's like wearing a pair of flippers and trying to dance on custard.
Almost. Custard, that's interesting.
Blancmange, I was going to say, but they wouldn't date me.
Well, the gap down under 2 seconds, I think, now, between second place Brock. And there's Seton. Oh, he's going gangbusters.
Yes, he is gaining.
There's Mark Scaife going through, and there's the gap then back to Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore. Larry goes through the right-hander. He's in chase, but out of touch, really, with the leading runners today. Some days it works well, and he was far more in touch with them in the early part of the season. But this second half of the season has been all about the forwards. There's no two ways about it.
Well, he's not whinging, but Larry does claim that the Dunlops don't work as well on a Commodore as they do on a Falcon.
Ah. Well, we'll have a look into that. Let's take a look on the Shell race score. Johnny Bowe leads it. Peter Brock is about stationary in second. Glen Seton is the one on the move in third, followed by Scaife, and Perkins rounds out the top 5. Don't go away. We'll be back at OP in just a moment. Here's the young gun on the move, Glen Seton in the Peter Jackson Falcon.
He's not giving up there. We've got a little bit of break up like we saw in the first heat, but he's been much more under control in this heat than he was in the opening race this morning.
Coming down under brakes into the left-hander at the bottom of the hill. Brock's just in front of him as they reel off one more.
just gets a driver going when he can see the opposition within Cooey. It really does eke the best out of you.
Well, he snaffled the lap record. Meanwhile, here's Neil Crompton. GIO race cam air hose goes on. He's going back up on the pipes, is he? No. Yep. So Crompton in all sorts of problem in this second heat. It has not been a good weekend for the Coke team.
There's the Team Komatsu Falcon.
Kevin Waldock.
He's pulled off. He's all right.
Yeah.
He's just on the short circuit.
All the fans are loving this. Ford versus Holden.
Well, they don't mind that, but I think half of them would prefer for Brocky still the withers at counter. Crikey, has he got some support here this weekend.
And look at him flying then over the dog leg. He knows that he has to work hard, that Glen has got every intention of grabbing this second spot, but as Mike's alluded to, that Chev is not slow in a straight line.
Well,
actually, he's got away from him that lap.
11 laps to go. 11 laps to go. They're running out of time here. So Seton trying to set up Brock, planning his move, seeing where he's, if he has a weak spot where he can take advantage.
Looks as if Glen's just been doing a little mental boardrooming with himself, and he's just trying to see where's the weakness with Peter, where can I place myself. If I go in and lurch at him and the tires don't respond, I'll look an idiot.
This is exactly the situation John Bowe would have wanted. These two cutting up here. They've just dropped their lap times 3 or 4 tenths of a second. That's allowed Bowe to open up to almost 2 seconds.
Yeah, Peter starting to drive defensively now.
Yes,
oh, look how sideways he got.
Just about over here. If Glen just plays it cool here now. That was the first sign when Peter started to drive defensively. Glen probably has got him here if he can just get him placed where he wants to maximize his intentions.
Oh, look at this.
It's moment of truth. Sorry, Brocky. Got more brakes, more grunt, and I'm out of here.
Well done. And straight over to the left-hand side of the track. He knows that he can still get dragged down the main straight, but nicely moved there. Patiently worked away on that back bumper bar, and now I think you can say here's the finishing order for the second part of the championship.
Well, he's not going to give up without a fight.
Brock will hang in there, and if he can, he'll push Seton up to race with Bowe.
Well, Bowe now has opened it up to over 3 seconds, so this is the cut and thrust. This is the championship decider for second position. And there's plenty of prestige here for these teams.
And the other thing is, of course, in Seton's favour, beating Brock for the championship for runner-up spots, great, and he would accept that. The man in front has won the championship, and if you can beat him in the last race,
nice way to
you
go.
take a little bit of the shine off it, and you also tell Ford that you've got another very competitive team there as well.
So Seton sneaks through on Brock, I should say. Brock back to 3rd position. Behind them, it's still Scaife. Alan Jones now up to 5th on a real charge, with Grice in the 3rd of the Peter Jackson Falcons up in 6th. So there's a blue army coming along through the field behind this guy. But it'll be good to watch the times now, because Seton has a bit of clear track in front of him. He's got Terry Finnegan, the Sydney privateer, in the Sony car just ahead of him. But basically a clear track which he can cut loose and do his fastest laps. He may well close the gap to Bowe. We'll keep an eye on that. At the moment, it's 2.89 seconds between Seton and Bowe, and they're picking their way through the traffic. Brock back in 3rd position now. Maybe try and capitalise on a few of these traffic moves. Seton very neatly up the inside of Finnegan, and gives him racing room.
Good to see Finnegan back, and obviously getting his act ready for the long distance showdown.
Beautifully turned out car too, the silver and red Sony Auto Sound machine. He sneaks through on the inside of Scotty Taylor. Brock leads him through. Very tidy manoeuvres through the back markers in the closing 3rd of this race. So the gap 2.89 seconds between Bowe and Seton. I'm sure Seton will be trying everything he knows to try and pull that down. We'll watch as they come across the start-finish line this time around. Bowe has led from the start. 22 laps down as John Bowe crosses the start-finish line. 2.78 seconds. So Bowe really hanging on. Very, very consistent.
This will be a day that John Bowe won't forget.
Little bit of lock-up. There's Peter Brock going through. Terry Finnegan, the Sony entry. Then it's Mark Scaife, who's 1 spot back behind them. As he goes through, Scotty Taylor, he's down a lap. Then Alan Grice, or Alan Jones, I should say. And Alan Grice also running well. So the PJ team have done pretty well. There's Larry Perkins sitting behind him. And that's also an outstanding performance from Grice, who can always just step into a car and make the thing hum.
Straight out of an election, out of the fire, into the
Oh, he got it sideways out of there too. So Gricey's doing a good job. He's up to 6th, Jones is up to 5th, and Seton's up to 2nd. So in sheer numbers, the Peter Jackson team have done very, very well here this weekend. There's Larry Perkins, carries our Castrol Oils race cam out of the front air dam of his car. Perkins sitting in behind Grice at this stage.
Just a fabulous series of corners, that, isn't it, Allan?
Very demanding through there, and then this one you can't quite see where you're going. You have to place it just right. It's not very entertaining there onto the right-hand side, and a nice cement wall here. I know the feeling. I hit this one day in a Mustang that left me with about $5,000 short.
Mark Scaife still back there in 4th spot, but into the pits. And he's come in, Freddie Gibson, very quickly to the car. Gee, he was having an exceptional day.
He certainly was. I turned that around.
The Yokohama tyre engineers there as well.
Well, they've been throwing all sorts of Yokohama tyre compounds and constructions at these cars, and indeed Tony's Longhurst Castrol Falcon as they make their final choice on Bathurst rubber. So it's been a very busy weekend for Winfield and Castrol. Mark Scaife getting out. Boy.
Yeah, she's all over today for Mark. He gave it a good shot, though.
I did well there for as long as he could.
Jim Richards out of the race earlier, of course.
He's a little perturbed about something that looked like a mechanical that he wasn't very happy about.
5 laps to go in the second race of grand final day here at Oran Park, with John Bowe, car number 18, the Shell FAI Falcon, in the lead. Glen Seton, the Peter Jackson Falcon, runs in 2nd. Peter Brock is 3rd. Then it's Allan Jones, Alan Grice, Perkins, Longhurst, Mazera, and Paul Romano. Let's go down to the pits and to Andy Raymond.
One thing you certainly don't want when you're driving one of these V8 rockets is no brakes, and Mark Scaife, that was the case for the last couple of laps.
Yeah, the pedal got progressively lower, and then the last 2 or 3 laps, no brake pedal at all. So as soon as you press the brake, it would go straight to the firewall, and you'd have to keep on finding gears to try to slow it up a little bit, but it's just craziness. You know, you lose a second a lap, and it's dangerous.
Not a lot of fun, as you just said. We'll let you enjoy and spectate for the remainder.
No problem.
Okay,
that's why he was a little bit mad, and because he had his heart beat up, got a bit of a fright, but he did the wise thing. Certainly not worth risking a car with a brake pedal down to the floor. So there'll be a little bit of engineering rework there. These things are very temperamental. They're like thoroughbred racehorses, Mark. They don't. They're getting to the stage where everything's got to be just right.
The interesting thing about the Winfield machines this weekend, they're both running a twin caliper front brake setup as a bit of a sort out for Bathurst. And if that happened at Oran Park, I'd much rather have it here down the end of Conrod Straight.
Exactly.
So a little bit of homework to do for the Winfield team, but they'll come back strong. I'm sure they're going to be one heck of a threat at Mount Panorama in a couple of months' time. Here's the battle between Grice and Perkins. Continues 5th and 6th position. Grice will, of course, sit alongside Glen Seton at Mount Panorama, the Tooheys 1000 on October 1. And as he proved last year, that will be one very quick combination.
And the Coke team have announced that Win Percy will come out to bolster their hopes in the second car. Wayne and Neil in one car, and Percy in the other, with Brad Jones. So a formidable Coca-Cola team in Bathurst. I think that's the exciting aspect of the 1,000 kilometers. There are so many professional teams, all with 2 cars that can really put some horsepower into doing so well. There's just as likely to be a dozen cars on the same lap after 1,000 kilometers.
That's true. We now have 3 laps to go. We're following Alan Grice, the Peter Jackson Falcon, who runs in 5th, and the man right behind him is Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore, carrying that Castrol Oils race cam. He's going to make a move down the inside here at Gricey. They come down. Grice won't give way. No way.
You can be sure he won't give way, but good slipstreaming there on Larry's part. But just needed a bit more straight to do it, and look at this.
Bridgestone across
He's having another go.
He's got him here.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
Nice move.
He took a very different line into that Coca-Cola corner for the run under the bridge. He was just a little bit quicker on the exit and nailed Grice by the time they got down to the end of that straight. Nice move.
That moves Perkins now up to 5th.
Just a fraction of a second in the right gear and in the right position, and that can do it. It looks effortlessly, but he's planned that and taken advantage of little loops there.
2 laps to go. John Bowe crosses the start-finish line. 2.4 seconds, the gap over Seton. Again, I think he's broken the Peter Jackson challenge here today.
Well, his first Australian Touring Car Championship. He'll be very, very pleased to that. He's had many, many wins in his career, but we all like to have that one, a 30-year-old championship, and a lot of names on that honor board that his is now going to be gracing. Well, I'm sure the start of many to come.
Speaking of honor boards, he is the first driver, in fact the first Australian driver, to win the Australian Touring Car Championship, the Australian Gold Star Championship and the Australian Sports Car Championship. So he's
up there.
Nailed quite a few titles in the one go.
So it is getting interesting right behind John Bowe. Peter Brock seems to have caught up again to Glen Seton. We'll have a look at the gap. That's it back to Glen Seton. Now, he was out to a couple of seconds, well clear of Brock, but Brock's been really putting the big ones in the last couple of laps, so whether or not Glen's just about out of tyres, we'll have to wait and see. But I think another lap will do it, because we should get the last lap board this time as they come out of the turn. Across the line with John Bowe in car number 18. He goes through, followed now by Glen Seton, then Peter Brock. And that's the way they've fought the championship out all season. Last lap. Car number 30, Glen Seton.
Well, he's certainly done well to recover here and take up second place in the championship, because he wasn't a happy veggie in the first heat, and to have to come through that handicap of the first lap incident, he's done extremely well.
They're on their last lap as John Bowe, car number 18, over the Dunlop Bridge.
Well, a great day for Dunlop too, for them to come through here on their final day. A great worry for Jeff Moorhead, who runs their operation. They midnight phone calls and sweating over delivery times and just getting the sheer numbers of tires out here to service all their teams.
Yes, they've done.
Fabulous victory for them.
He certainly has. Heading downhill to the final corner, John Bowe. A perfect day for him, the winner of the Peter Jackson Dash, the winner of the opening heat this morning, and the second heat this afternoon. The grand final has been dominated by this man, John Bowe, the new national champion. Second place will go to Seton, who will take second in the championship, and third place to Peter Brock in car number 05. Let's check them on the Shell race score. John Bowe, the winner of heat number 2 this afternoon. Glen Seton took a very good second. Peter Brock, a comfortable third. A fighting fourth to Allan Jones, and fifth to Larry Perkins. Sixth place to Alan Grice. Seventh went to Tony Longhurst. Eighth to Thomas Mazzera. Ninth to Wayne Gardner. And the privateer, David Attard, rounded out the top 10. Well, welcome back to Oran Park Raceway. Some happy faces here today, because one fellow who's done pretty well, third overall for the day and third in the championship, the man they call Peter Perfect. You got a bit of support here, son.
Yes, and I hope they've gone away feeling they've had a good day's entertainment too, because things didn't necessarily go the way that our team had planned. But all in all, a fantastic day for motorsport, I'm sure of that.
And it's good to see for season 95 that you were competitive from day one right through, and I think you're looking pretty good for Bathurst as well.
Oh yes, we've got a strong team, and we've got all those little details taken care of with good tyres, good engines, good chassis, good team behind me. But my congratulations to firstly Johnny Bowe for a fantastic job winning the series, a very hard Ford series, and to Glen Seton there finishing second. Touch and go, but good job, Glenn.
Well done. Peter Brock, third overall in the championship. Second in today's round, second in the championship from Victoria in the Peter Jackson Falcon, Glen Seton. Well done, son. you're a paid-up member of the Dick Johnson fan club after turn 1.
Yeah, we got a bit of a tangle in the first corner, but luckily we've been able to come back, Mike. It was a hell of a race. It was probably the hardest race I've driven for a while, but congratulations to Dick Johnson Racing and also John Bowe for winning the championship. It's a great effort. And also my sponsors who have supported me right throughout my career, Peter Jackson, Bridgestone, and also Ford. Thank you.
Well done, Glenn. And the winner of the championship, he's done it in all other forms of racing. He's finally done it in the touring car. John Bowe, our national champion. That sounds all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great feeling, and it's all down to the crew of Dick Johnson Racing. They're a tremendous bunch of people, and they've given me such a superb car all year. My heartfelt thanks to Shell, FAI, Ford Motor Company, and Dunlop especially, who left no stone unturned in their search to get us a good tyre, and they certainly did it today.
No Ross stone unturned. I know what you're trying to say. Well done, John. And Ross, come forward. From Ross Brody from Shell, Motorsport Manager, to make the presentation to John Bowe. Let's hear it for John Bowe, national champion.